Yeah.
You're all set.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're back to, obviously last week was a different kind of a week. We do that once a year with the householder retreat, um, with 5 talks during the week, but we'll be back to our usual schedule this week, right? And then we're back to Karuna for the rest of the month. Karuna, compassion, right? And say a few words about it. Yeah, it's so hard for me to go too far with compassion before seeing the how our whatever our level of self-compassion is at the moment. It's so hard to generate compassion out there if we're not feeling some warmth within, basically. Yeah, yeah. When the body and the mind are tight in some way, tight thoughts get generated. Have you noticed that? A tight body and a tight mind generates tight, perseverative, obsessive, regretting, negativity bias kinds of thoughts. When the body is more relaxed and settled, it tends to generate more easily a more wholesome kind of thought, thinking pattern. Yeah, yeah. With compassion, with karuna, the definition of karuna in Buddhist psychology is it's a response, it's a trembling, a trembling of the heart in response to suffering, right? A trembling of the heart in response to suffering, a quivering of the heart in response to suffering. And that happens sometimes for us. Sometimes it does happen spontaneously, you know? We'll all have our moments. Sometimes it's with when we see suffering with a young child or a pet, or there are times when it becomes really, really clear and immediate. That's also true. But there are times when it just doesn't arise at all. And in particular, it's particularly poignant how it doesn't arise frequently when something arises within ourselves, within our own world of experience that is clearly suffering. And you would think, well, if suffering is happening within this organism, of course, the heart should tremble a little bit with care, with obvious, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, ouch, just ouch. Suffering is present. How can I minister to it? How can I be with it? How can I be present to it? How can I hold it? How can I make room for it? How can I soothe it? How can I make some kind of meaningful relationship with it? That's not always what happens, is it? It's not. Instead, it's like suffering arises and a number of things happen there, a number of possibilities, right? One is turning away from it, just wanting to turn away from it, aversion, averse to my own suffering. I don't want to feel it. Sometimes I'm afraid to feel it. Sometimes I'm afraid what if I start to feel it, I might feel overwhelmed. I might feel swept away by it. Could it be something in that space? Is it that I don't deserve to feel tender toward my own suffering? I don't deserve it. We got these messages early on. I'm not worthy of that. Uh, I think there's probably some of that in there too. Oh, I should be over this, or what's wrong with me? Instead of responding with karuna, with just immediate sense of ministering with compassion, we respond to, well, what's wrong with me? So there's so many moments there, right there at the interface. Something arises that's suffering within my experience. What an important moment that is now. What is the response to it? Something arises, it's already arisen. What's my response to it? You know, uh, we'd like to think, well, I want to invite, do I? Do I want to invite compassion? Is there still a part of me that doesn't even want to? All this is like, wow, what's going on here? Right? Here I am, an organism. I'm in this world. I'm somehow found myself in this world. It's not easy. It's not easy all the time. There's some rough stuff going on. But when something rough comes up, I don't know how to relate to it. I don't want to relate to it. I mean, this is one of the most poignant things in the practice, in meditation practice for us. That moment. Whoa, that is worthy of compassion right there. The fact that I'm not just immediately sending compassion to myself is worthy of compassion right there, isn't it? It's like, whoa, hey, buddy, what's going on in there? It hurts, doesn't it? Okay, let's make some room for that, buddy. Well, that's what I try to say to myself. Yeah, I can't feel anything. You can't feel anything for that, huh, buddy? Wow. Well, it's not so easy being human. These things arise. Yeah, how about offering yourself a little bit of an olive branch in this moment, rather than trying to push that thing under the rug, turn away from it, judge it. There's so many moves that happen there in that space. Suffering visits us, but we're really it's one of the weakest links in the mindfulness and the meditation chain for most of us. And also most of us feel somewhat alone with that when it comes up. Obviously, we spent some time talking about that last week. There must be something wrong. I must not be doing this practice right. If I were doing it right, this suffering thing wouldn't be arising. I'd already automatically know how to have a different relationship with it. We don't. It's a practice. It's a humbling practice. It's a humbling practice, saying that we're still being rough with ourselves, still being tough with ourselves, still being judgmental, still being standoffish with ourselves. I mean, you know. So for me, this is the most uh, worthy of attention in the compassion space is what's still up with us. How is it playing out? That I've learned. This is what I've reinforced for a long time. There's nothing defective here, but I've learned for a long time when suffering arises in me to not turn toward it with kindness. I've just learned I've never practiced doing that. I'm not very good at doing that. Well, how would I do that? How would I begin to practice doing that? You know? If I felt like, yeah, that would be a good idea to like myself a little bit more, to be a little bit more comfortable with all this, you know, with some of the rough stuff that's rolling through here as well. To be able to offer a little bit more of that, if not a trembling of the heart, at least the kind turning toward, oh, at least ouch, ow, that doesn't feel good. Now, how is it possible to meet this moment? You know, you know. Hmm. And it takes a little courage. It does. That's part of why we don't do it. It seems a little easier to turn away from it in the moment. It seems like it's a little easier. It is a little easier in the moment, but that just reinforces that pattern of turning away from it. We get better at turning away from certain aspects of our experience. And this practice is about being more inclusive, and that means turning toward the things that we've left out in the cold, gradually. And it does, it takes courage. It's not a passive process, compassion, you know? Strong back, front, soft front. There's got to be some sense of groundedness and some, um, she's always reminding us of that. It's hard to be compassionate without feeling getting somewhat grounded and without feeling just a little bit of kindness first, a little metta first. You know, it's just rich territory for all of us. Yeah. Speaking for myself as well, it's just rich. There's a lot to mine here, to open to soften around for all of us. There is layer after layer of us not quite frequently enough whispering nice things into our own ear. Huh? And so I'll offer that for your consideration. We'll play with that a little bit during this meditation practice, this session right here together. Okay? Yeah? When something difficult arises, we'll see that as the important moment, the key in this meditation. So how shall we respond? Okay? So let's open up. Let's open up. Oh, when you're ready, beginning to slow it down. Lightly closing the eyes. Maybe starting out, I always start out with, still here in these bodies, breathing. How amazing. The breath is still moving. I mean, I say that, in a smiling way, but also in an amazing way, right? That this is real appreciation for this organism and its complexity and its capacity. That we can do this, we can understand this, we can close our eyes, we can turn our attention towards settling. that we can even turn our attention in the direction of compassion and clarity is just amazing. Softening, creating a little space, and uh, inviting a little um, friendliness in there. We want to bring caring attention to the fore. And then, if you'd like to explore in this way, I mean, you could wait until something difficult may bubble up naturally in your meditation, or you could go and say, look, let me bring something forward that I know is a little bit rough, a little bit difficult for me, um, with the intention to bring some kindness to it, to bring a little tenderness to it, to turn toward it, in other words, and to pay attention to what happens as you do that. caring attention to whatever is arising. When I'm orienting this way in the practice, I sometimes will put my hand over my heart. I used to not do that. I think, I don't need to do that. But I have found it helpful. I have found it helpful. If you haven't experimented with that, you might want to try it from time to time and see if that's supportive. as if you were worthy of tenderness. In the last few minutes of the meditation, softening a bit more, settling back a bit more, receiving. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining.
Thank you for your